So what makes someone a serial killer? According to Wikipedia, a serial killer is defined as a person who murders 3 or more people over a period of more than 30 days, with a cooling-off period between each murder, and whose motivation for killing is largely based on psychological gratification. Other sources define the term as a series of 2 or more murders, committed as separate events, usually, but not always, by one offender acting alone, or including the vital characteristics, a minimum of at least 2 murders. If this is the definition alone, it can apply to Miss Aileen Wuornos. If the definition is stretched, she can fit into the category of serial killer. Aileen Wuornos killed 7 men, all in a similar fashion, with periods of time through each murder. However, through much of her life, she maintained that it was self-defense that she killed these men. Who were the men she killed, and why did she kill them? Is it possible to look deeper into who she was and who these men were, to understand her claim that she killed them in self-defense? Her own words on the subject of being a serial killer are, "They say it's the number of people I killed. I say it's the principle." Her principle was that she killed in self-defense, that these men had either raped or attempted to rape her while she worked as a prostitute. Aileen was lucky that she was able to live through much of her experience as a prostitute. She was lucky that it was her who lived through much of the abuse and torture that these Johns put her through. It should be known that she continued working as a prostitute after killing these men. She didn't murder every trick she turned. Only certain men were murdered by her. If they got violent, she killed them. How many prostitutes don't fight back? How many prostitutes are the ones who have their bodies left on the side of the road by abusive Johns, like the ones Aileen took off the streets for good? It could be argued, in fact, not only was she acting in self-defense, but she did society a favor by removing these men who would go on to hurt and possibly murder other women. In fact, the first man Aileen killed was named Richard Mallory. Previous to picking up the wrong woman to rape one night, Mallory had served 10 years in prison for rape. According to Aileen's testimony in her first trial, this man was so violent with her, choking her, anally raping her, vaginally raping her, and squirting rubbing alcohol into her bleeding anus and vagina and open nostrils, threatening that he would put it in her eyes once he was finished. She was lucky she was able to kill this man and escape with her life. But her defense attorney never saw any reason to bring up the fact that this man had a history of sexual violence on record. She didn't get a fair trial, and this was the first man she had killed. Probably the most important one to understand if we are to understand why she killed. But she is labeled a monster, a serial killer who was so mentally disturbed and hateful towards men that she viciously sought them out as victims. It couldn't be further from the truth. Aileen was a woman who lived a hard life that average people cannot relate to or understand. Again I ask, how many prostitutes don't fight back and wind up dead in her situation? How many go quietly into the night? How many men would tolerate this kind of violence and abuse without fighting back? Would they be monsters for defending their bodies from extreme violence? Is the fight to preserve some dignity only allowed under the best circumstances for the most privileged amongst us? I believe that Aileen Wuornos killed in self-defense, and that she killed justly. The men who she murdered would go on to hurt other women, and she, in fighting back, saved other women's lives. She asked the state of Florida to kill her because she was so full of anger that she knew she may kill again. Can anyone blame her? There is so little justice for those who have been harmed by our society, who live at the fringes, and who have very few options for survival. Her story was sensationalized. Deals were attempted with her lover, Tyria Moore, and the police department. Corruption ran rampant in her sentencing, and she never got a fair trial. She was taken advantage of by nearly everyone in her life, and everyone she trusted. Clearly, if she was a monster, it is what she was made into, not something she naturally was.
Put the cord around my neck, and he said, "Yes, you are, bitch." He said, "You're gonna do everything I tell you to do, and if you don't, I'll kill you right now, and I'll fuck you after, just like the other sluts I've done." And he said, "It doesn't matter to me. Your body will still be warm for my huge cock." And he said, he was choking me and I was holding it like this, and he said, "Do you want to die, slut?" And I just nodded no. And then he said, "Are you gonna listen to everything I've got to say? Have you do?" And I just nodded yes. And he told me to lay down on the car seat.
Okay, what happened next?
Then he began to start having anal sex. Okay. And he's doing this very violent movement. And then I don't know, it became climax. I talk street talk, so I don't know if he did that. And violently took himself out and violently put himself in my vagina.
Were you saying anything to him at that point?
No, I was crying my brains out.
Okay, then what happened?
All right, so takes the Visine and he lifts up my legs and he puts what turns out to be rubbing alcohol in the Visine bottle, and he sticks some of my rectum area, and that really hurt really bad because he tore me up for a while. And he put some in my vagina, which really hurt bad. And then he walked around back to driver's seat side and he pulled my nose open like this, pulled them open, and he squirted rubbing alcohol down my nose. And he said, "I'm saving your eyes for the grand finale," and he put the Visine back on the dash. And I was really pissed. And I didn't care. I was yelling at him and everything else. He was laughing away, saying, "That's what I want to hear. I love it when you start crying and all that pain." I thought to myself, I gotta fight, I'm gonna die. This guy is gonna play with me, and then he's gonna kill me. He's already said he's gonna kill me. He's already said he killed other girls. I gotta fight. I jumped up real fast and I spit in his face. And he said, "You're a dead bitch, you're dead." And he's wiping his eyes. And I laid down real quick and I grabbed my bag. And he was starting to come for me when I grabbed my bag and whipped my pistol out toward him. And he was coming toward me with his right arm, I believe. And I shot immediately, and I think I shot twice, as fast as I could.